Welcome back to another episode of KKC Consulting. With me, I have Jack Kim, all the way from London. He just exited Bain, the UK office. So, Jack, thank you so much for coming in. Welcome.
No, I'm very happy to be here, Ammar, and thanks so much for having me. And I was
Of
gonna
course.
say that my social media is Korean consultant, so we've got
Oh, I
KKC
see.
collaborating with KC as well at the same time. So lots of K's and C's. But yeah, very happy to be here. Should I give a quick intro about myself and my
Of
journey,
course.
or how should we go about it? Sounds good.
Let's
So
go for it.
bit of a background about myself. As you can probably tell from my last name is Kim. So I come from Korea. Grew up in China though, and then yeah, came to UK for university. Went to LSE, which I don't know if you guys know much about it in Canada, but like in the UK, it's known as like the career hub, right? It's an epicenter of career ambition. Everyone from the moment they join the first year just like blabbers on about spring weeks and getting into consulting, banking, law, etc. So that was the whole vibe for me as well at LSE. We just kind of, I just yeah went to the first lecture and everyone was already asking about spring week. So naturally, sort of guided me towards like the investment banking route. Tried out a couple of string week applications, did a bit of networking here and there. Didn't work out to be honest. And then I decided maybe maybe investment banking isn't really for me just because I couldn't land any spring week offers. And then I thought, okay, what's the next best alternative? And I'm not trying to rank the different careers in terms of prestige or anything, but I was like, okay, consulting, slightly less pay, but better work life balance, and you get to experience different industries, yada yada yada, all that practical stuff. But also, I felt like the consultants I spoke to just generally they're a bit more humane. I would say, not shedding on investment bankers, but I didn't want to be in that toxic finance pro environment as much. And I'm not trying to cover my ass for not getting into any spring weeks. So yeah, then I wanted to do consulting, and I did a couple of I guess internships, mostly in Korea, as well as like one internship in UK as well. At a startup, and yeah, did lots of societies at university, but also outside of university as well. And yeah, ultimately ended up at a company called Parthenon, which is I don't know if you guys know, but it's like a tier 2 strategy consulting company
Right.
under the EY umbrella. And like when I joined, there was maybe only 80 people in the office in London, but now they've got over I think 300-400 people. I think so. They've really grown very fast, very strong in the education sector. And then yeah, I worked there about a year and a half. Got a bit bored at education sector, wanted to try out different things. So then I moved to Bain. I worked there for about 3.5 years, mostly doing private equity work, but also transformation and other types of strategy work as well. And yeah, literally, last week exited and now basically unemployed now. So that's me in a nutshell.
No, that's awesome. A lot to take out of this. But first of all, I wanted to say that what the biggest difference I see from like Canadian schools and UK schools is that on average UK schools have only a 3-year program, whereas Canadian schools have like a full 4-year program. Did you feel that that kind of accelerated the whole race towards investment banking consulting?
Honestly, I think that's a really good question. I think yes, because you have such a short amount of time to get a job upon uni, but also at the same time, I think like as a cultural differences in terms of 3 versus 4 years, yes, definitely that does exist. But on top of that as well, going to LSE, further accelerates that
Right.
rhythm as well. Just because everyone just comes to LSE with a, especially nowadays, I get messages from students and when they're like 16 or 17, already thinking about investment banking and consulting.
Wow.
So I feel
Yeah.
like it is the really motivated students that do come to LSE because as you see on LinkedIn, if you do a quick search, most of the I guess consultants or investment bankers at prestigious firms, there's a lot more that come from LSE versus any other universities in the UK at
Right.
least. So that's why I think there's a huge rush as well in terms of those type of people that get into LSE, which then again further accelerates that whole momentum.
No, 100%. I mean, I feel like the coolest thing, well, I would say the second coolest thing about UK universities, because the first is like probably the accent, but the second coolest thing is definitely the fact that everyone's like really tight knit, like Cambridge, Oxford, LSE, and probably LBS as well, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken. You guys all have interconnected networks, and it's really cool because there's someone working for KKC, like the person who reached out to you, Zahir. So shout out to Zahir. He also came into KKC and he explained like the whole system behind like okay, there's a 3-year program, and he already
Mm-hmm.
has internships lined up, which is awesome. I feel like
Wow,
it's
that's
such an
killing it.
accelerated process. It's really cool. But talk to me about your time in university. How did you find it out? What exactly led you to go towards consulting?
No, good question. That is a golden question, and more on my YouTube vid as well that I mentioned about it. But Actually, the first time I ever came across consulting is through a friend. It was like a consulting. Actually, it was like a consulting society leaflet at my university. I had a look at it. And I was like, "Oh, what's this? It's interesting." And then I started to look at all of these consultants on LinkedIn, right? And I tried to find people that I could network with. I sent like hundreds of requests, and obviously, no one's going to give a shit about a third culture kid coming from Korea. But then this one consultant from Bain actually accepted my request and was
I
very happy to
see.
take me on a coffee chat, and it turned out he's Korean as well. So he was actually the number
Oh, that's
one Korean
awesome.
consultant at Bain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like he went to
Really?
Oxford, and yeah, he grew up in the UK
Wow.
basically, in Oxford. So he was more British than Korean, but at the same time, like he was selling me all the dreams of. I mean, he did mention like the pros and cons of getting into consulting, right? And
Right.
gave me like the whole well-rounded spear in terms of what it is like to be a consultant. But obviously, like the 19-year-old me only cared about the pros, the shiny stuff that the consultants get, right? And that lured me into consulting, being like, you know what, like it could be a very good career opportunity for me, just in terms of because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then longer term, I wanted to become an entrepreneur. So obviously, getting exposure to different industries and different types of work is going to be quite interesting. But on top of that, obviously, you have like the fancy dinners, business class flights, blah,
Right.
blah, blah, all the good things that he talked about as well, which then I thought, okay, maybe like consulting might be something that I want to do. And that's when I decided, like, I think it was like towards the end of my first year, beginning of the second year when I met him. And then yeah, since then on, it was like straight minded journey all the way into consulting.
Do you still keep in touch with them?
I do like once a year. I'll send him like a Happy New
I
Year
see.
message on LinkedIn. He then actually went to Korea and then he did like a MBA in the US. And then he worked
Wow.
for the US office for a couple of years. And then I think now he's doing something of its own, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, definitely doing lots of cool stuff. Like
Yeah,
really admirable. He's basically my role model, to be honest, like in terms of his
of
career
course.
trajectory. And yeah, like obviously, if I ever go to New York, I'll definitely reach out for a quick coffee chat.
Yeah.
But huge shout out to him. Yeah, if he's ever watching this video.
No, 100%. I mean, mentors are so important. I remember when I first started this podcast almost a year ago, so it's almost been 52 weeks.
Nice.
And thank you. So I remember I shot out a bunch of messages to a lot of people, and some of them were like they were super open to it, like, "Hey, I'll hop on." But then like things would happen, like maybe they had trips going on, vacations, they didn't feel like coming. Maybe some of them were just excuses. But there were two people, Iman and Aish, like shout out to them. They were my first two episodes on the
Mm-hmm.
podcast. I remember they said yes, and turns out those two are best buddies as well, so they just came together.
Nice.
And it was really, really cool because like apart from the whole helping me out with applications, even right now, because I just finished my first year, right? Those two helped me out with just understanding like university life and just getting KKC off the ground, which is really, really
Mm,
helpful because at that time, like you're reaching out to someone who's an Oliver Wyman and someone else who's soon to go into KPMG management consulting. It's so much more helpful to just have two mentors being like, hey,
of
listen,
course.
do this, this, this. You know, you're killing the game. It's really cool. Love the podcast idea. Plus, it was super
Exactly.
fun. Like, I remember I booked the room for 2 hours, right? I booked the room for 2 hours. They came like a little bit late, like 45-ish minutes late, but
Damn.
they booked it
Too
again.
late.
So we had it. So we had the room for I think 4 or 5 hours. And within that, we could only record like the last 30 minutes because we were laughing so much.
Just
And
like
it's so,
bantering
it's like,
about. Yeah.
yeah,
It is wild though,
it's
and
just
I do
so
feel like
funny.
with these mentors and stuff, it's always like a almost like a chain, right? So, and yeah, obviously,
Yeah,
I've been helped by other consultants or bankers in the past through coffee chats, referrals, whatever, and then so I try to give back, and hopefully the same for you,
yeah.
Amar, as well. You've got a lot of
Thank
help
you.
from other mentors, and then I guess this is kind of a way, a podcast is a way to
Of
provide those
course.
information down to other people as well. But yeah, hopefully the cycle continues onwards too.
No, of course. I hope to continue that cycle. It's gonna be hard though because I've tried to like get help from a lot of people. So just being able to give all of that back is gonna be hard, but I'm sure we'll both get through it. But on that note, talk to me about your progress going through consulting. You know, previously you were at EY-Parthenon, then went over to Bain and you just exited. So talk to me about that process.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, getting into your Parthenon. Well, yeah, let's omit that process. Like, I think people might be more interested in how I went from, I guess, Parthenon to Bain. So I actually got
Sure.
super lucky, Ammar, because it was in end of 2021. So the private equity market was booming. So
See.
like this one week, or like over the course of like 1 or 2 weeks, I got a email or a message from McKinsey, Bain, and BCG for
Wow.
an interview for various levels of positions because their private equity practices were growing like crazy in London, and I'm sure across the world as well. And it was funny because out of like I think 15 people that were sort of around my cohort level at Parthenon had gotten the exact same messages from McKinsey, Bain, and
Wow.
BCG. So we were all just kind of like interviewing for the MBB at the same time, and a couple of us went to Bain, a couple went to BCG, a couple went to McKinsey, but there was like a whole exodus of like 10 plus consultants just as
No one
exited
stayed at Parthenon?
Parthenon. I mean, some people did, but I think most
Yeah.
people did make the jump to MBB because like they were offering slightly higher salary,
Right,
more
right.
responsibility, and also I guess a bigger brand name as well. Not to say
Of
Parthenon
course.
is not amazing. It was, but I remember that being the whole thing. So honestly, like Ammar, I would say I was very lucky. Obviously, I think the other thing was Parthenon and other tier two consulting firms as well that specialize in a lot of private equity diligence projects. They had obviously consultants from with those background experiences had a lot of advantage, right? Because the PE market was growing
Right.
fast and MBB needed those people that were already good at doing DDs. And so there was like a funnel almost into MBB. So that was the whole process, to be honest. And I remember like I didn't, well, to be honest, like I prepared, but like because I was already doing lots of DDs and I was literally working in
Right, right.
consulting, I maybe practiced case like 1 or 2 hours on the weekends. It wasn't like a huge prep that I had to do to get into MBB from Parthenon. And I'm sure that many people that have made a similar move also agree with me that once you're in consulting, it's not as difficult to break in as an
I
experienced hire.
see. I see. Interesting. I've heard like the opposite for Canada. Interestingly enough, I feel
Okay.
that, or well, people in Canada they say that the more like sure it's easier for an experienced hire to get into like a lower associate level, but going from like experience to the exact same level, that's really, really hard. And you just have to know your stuff. Like I remember I was chatting with this McKinsey person, consultant, and he talked to me about how he transitioned from like a very specialized role that he
Mm-hmm.
spent I think like 7 years in, and then moved
Wow.
into just an associate level at McKinsey. And it's
Wow.
crazy, like the
Okay.
amount of expertise you need to be able to work at these firms because of the high level consulting work that they do. It's it's a bit, a bit scary when you first look into it, but then you start to understand that hey, consulting really just teaches you number one, the skills that you need for everyday life, like communication, presenting yourself, like not picking your nose up in front of other people, right? Just these little things. And on top of that, it teaches you just, I want to say common sense, but to a lot of people, it's not really common, right?
Yeah.
The skill levels and just the exit opportunities, which is something else that I wanted to talk to you about.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any plans for the future since you just left Bain?
Yeah, good question. To be honest, it's not like I signed any offers before, I guess, exiting Bain properly. I mean, it was a long-winded journey of just thinking about what I wanted to do next. And I wouldn't say it was an impulse decision, but because I've thought about it for a long time. But yeah, no, like the short answer is no, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think
That's
in the short run, I need to be back in Korea, obviously, spend time with my family, but at the same time, I'm going to double down on my content. So yeah, I run a small channel on TikTok and Instagram called Korean Consultants. So I'm going to continue trying to grow that, post a bit more as well. Now that I can share things a bit more openly and directly. Obviously, everything's going to
right.
be HR compliant, but still, I can be a bit more direct about everything. So yeah, I think content's probably going to be my number one priority. And then obviously, like when my savings run out, maybe I'll need to come back to the UK and start my new job. So we'll see.
No,
We'll
of
see where that
course.
lasts.
That's super duper cool. I'll make sure to drop down like the links in the description to the LinkedIn post, YouTube post, Instagram as
Appreciate it.
well. So please feel free to check that out as well. It will be really, really cool. On top of that, I feel that content creation is just really cool. Like the trend that's been occurring nowadays, that it's almost as if you need to have your face out there in some sort of
Yeah.
content creation. It's so crazy that in like the US you see all these student interns. Yeah, this is what I learned from a 25K job at
Yeah,
investment banking
exactly. It
firm,
pops
like
off,
as an
right?
intern. Yeah, right? And 300,000 views, millions of views, so many.
Crazy.
And it took me like a whole year to get 400,000 views, and these guys are getting
Which
in
is
like
still
one reel.
impressive. That is
Thank
still
you. Thank you
impressive
very
though.
much.
Do you do any like real format as well, Amar, or like
Yeah.
YouTube or okay, you started
Most of the views come from Instagram, just from Reels,
to
right? Because thankfully Reels they get like thousands of views, which helps out a
yeah.
lot. Because on YouTube, I believe we just hit 12K views on just
Okay.
like the
Still
videos
pretty
alone.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So I mean, yeah, Instagram's the way to pop off. I just got to be able to crack that system. Thankfully, now we just hired a few media consultants to join the team.
Okay, look at you.
Yeah,
Okay,
so they'll be helping just editing and posting that out because I actually want to
nice.
build like a personal brand as well, apart from
Yes.
KKC. So let's pray that goes well.
No, mate, Ammar, you have a very good start as well. I mean, especially
I
like doing this
appreciate
from
it.
a first year student. It's honestly, I think it's a great achievement already, and it's on its
Thank you.
own so far. How much you've accomplished, but yeah, definitely start building out more, putting your face more out there. Your personal brand is going to be your asset going forward. So, and I'm
Right,
sure you
right.
know that.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate the compliments.
Yeah.
On top of that, like on top of everything that we just discussed about, do you mind talking about extracurriculars and how important you felt that was in undergrad?
Yeah, obviously, when you look at a trying to phrase it without revealing too much information. So obviously, when consulting firms review your CVs, I would say there's three parts to it, right? There's your education, there's your work experiences, and then there's your like extracurricular slash leadership activities. So I would say out of the three, extracurriculars are the least important.
I
However,
see.
I almost think of it as firm by firm, this will vary, and I'm not
Of
advocating for any
course.
single firm, but from my experience, consulting firms generally like someone that is well rounded. So, kind of like jack of all trades, right? Rather than master of one. And so for extracurricular activities, it is ideal or it is best if you have an experience like that is related to an academic society and like maybe like a business society and then maybe like a sports slash volunteering society and having leadership or community positions across this, what I call it, the trifecta of societies, I think is what makes your extracurricular the most, I guess, competitive in a consulting CV screening perspective. And I think that's kind of what I did as well. So I was a captain of the men's volleyball team at LSE. I know I'm not tall, but I played a position called libero. I don't know if you guys watch volleyball, which is like the short guy at the back that just receives all the balls. So I did that. I was also the president of the Korean societies in England, which I think has about 5,000 members. So, yeah,
Wow.
pretty big organization. And then, yeah, I had a couple of committee roles in consulting society, VC societies, etc. And then also I was a representative for the management department, which is what I studied. So I felt like I had quite a good extensive list of extracurriculars that demonstrated my leadership. The other thing is, though, when you do have committee or leadership positions in societies, the other thing that matters is obviously the membership. Like your impact matters too, but for
Right,
example, being a president of a society with 30 members is very different from being a president of a society with 1,000 members, just because of the
right.
scale and the people that a number of people that you need to manage. So I would almost like, yeah, try to go for a larger in the society, even though the position might not be like a president. Maybe it's like a VP or a like a secretary position. But I think the larger society, being in that larger society helps a bit more towards your extracurriculars.
No, 100%. I mean, we'll touch on the extracurriculars a little bit more, but just on that note, the fact that leading a team of like even 20 versus leading a team of four, there's such a massive difference. And I was thinking this to myself like earlier on, right? Like on the KKC team, I think we have 15 interns.
Mm-hmm.
So three of them working on the KKC Consulting website, or sorry, three of them working on the KKC Classroom app, and then the rest working on
Okay.
like just different branches of KKC Consulting, like
Mm-hmm.
outreach, which where Zahir is, who
Yeah.
actually found you, and sorry, I apologize, marketing, and just other facilities to that as well. But what I realized is that comparing that role with like, because I'm the VP of a pro bono consulting group, 180
Mm-hmm.
degrees. I'm not sure if
Yeah, I
they
know
have it in
them.
the
Yeah, of
UK.
course. Yeah.
They have it in the UK. That's awesome. So I'm the VP of that too, and I lead like a team of six. So
Mm-hmm.
leading a team of six versus 20
Very
difference,
different.
it's
It's crazy. Yeah.
crazy, right? Because you almost have to. I don't want to say micromanage, but sometimes you do, like with certain people, because it takes time for you to understand like, all right, this is what gets them ticking, this is what gets them working, right? You have to have that incentive ready. Sometimes it's fear. Like I know for 180 degrees, what we do is we have like a three strike system. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
you don't come into a call, that's one strike, three strikes and you're out the club, right? Because and I mean it seems to be working quite
Need
well.
commitment. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. But I mean just it I just wanted to put that out there because it gets really hectic just leading, and I can't imagine on a scale of like thousands of people. How did you deal with
Yeah.
that?
No, I guess like I did mention the Organization of Korean Societies, which had 5,000 members, but thankfully enough, I wasn't managing them individually. So as the
Right, right.
organization gets bigger, underneath me, there were presidents or heads
I
each
see.
university. So we had at about 8 universities that were sort of core part of the organization. Underneath me would be like the heads of each university. And then within them as well, they obviously have the committee members that help them out. So
Right,
it
right.
was almost like, yes, I was on the top, but then it was actually more of a collaborative environment as well. So it wasn't like, oh,
That's fair.
I'm the dictator, you do everything I tell you. I kind of assigned roles to each university heads as well. So I said, okay, the LSE guy, maybe you focus a bit more on events. The Imperial guy, okay, we're going to host like a which we started out doing a lot more in the UK. And as a you know, make sure that you can get the speakers for that. And then maybe the UCL guy said, okay, maybe you organize the sports events for the Koreans in London, etc. So having dedicated and specified roles for each of the heads, and then within them they can also organize, within their own mini committees of like what they need to do, and giving them autonomy to do that, and showcase their leadership as well. Also, I think what helped the organization become a bit more harmonious and work very well for a large organization.
Yeah. No, that's fair. It's great advice even for me, like as I'm trying to navigate the whole leadership role.
Yeah,
I feel it's really helpful because I remember seeing this quote and I'll be completely blunt with you. It's on Instagram Reels. I mean, it's still information. The quote essentially, and I'll probably butcher this, but it goes along giving the message that when you hire smart people, you're not supposed to manage them. Like that makes no sense. Otherwise, why'd you hire them, right? You should be able to give smart people like the room to be able to do whatever they want because they know what they're
exactly.
doing. They've done it before. And I find that concept really cool because at first I thought being a leader is all about do this, do this, do this, or else, right? But then I realized people know certain stuff better than me. People know Instagram marketing a lot better than me. People know how to speak a lot better than me. People know how to lead, educate, etc. a lot better than me. So being able to just give them that lead room, it helps a lot more in the future.
Exactly. Yeah, and then like I guess like reflecting on my 5 years in consulting, right? And I was thinking about the leaders and the people in the leadership team, like partners or senior managers that I've really enjoyed working with. And those weren't necessarily the ones that were extremely good at their job. Those were actually, from a junior's perspective, the ones that were able to create an environment for juniors to grow within the firm as well. So not
Right.
just like telling them what to do, but making sure you're invested in the success of the juniors as well, especially, as we all come from very small backgrounds. It was very critical for us to learn as much as possible and develop as fast as possible. The leaders that do invest in that, in terms of junior success, they tend to then gain a lot more of, in terms of following of people that are willing to work with them again, versus the leaders that are okay, just like extremely good at their job, but gives less shit
Right.
about what juniors, yeah, in general.
Of course. Yeah, no, that's very interesting that you mentioned that because I mean, leadership as a whole, just being able to navigate that and seeing it between senior managers and partners. I remember I had one partner come on the podcast, David Fabian. He's from EY.
Nice.
He came on the
Wow.
podcast, and this is when I
Big
was like
names, eh?
17 years old.
That's
So
crazy, man.
he hopped on, and he was so sweet. It was crazy. Because I won't lie, like this is a really funny story. I haven't told this to anyone. When he came in, like it's a library, there's a hallway, so he came in through the hallway. I had no idea. He was
You
emailing me,
met
but I
him.
didn't see the email. Yeah, yeah, no, he came in person to the podcast.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
wow. That's crazy. Okay.
Thank you. So he was coming through the hallway, and then I was trying to like be my best. Like I had like a two-piece
Suit and
on
tie.
with like a button up, yeah, everything, right? And when he came in, I didn't realize I didn't have my blazer on, so I was like apologizing. Hey, I'm so sorry, I don't have my blazer. And he was like, because I was just so nervous, right?
Oh,
But
of
then he was
course.
like, no, listen, it's totally good, all good, no worries at all. And he was just so calm and, for lack of better terms, like nonchalant, but in a really good
Hmm.
way where you could see like this guy has leadership skills, he has sales
Nonchalant.
skills as well. Just being able to just calm my nerves down. And then we had like a really great conversation. It was really cool. I did go off on
Nice.
a little tangent, but we're almost reaching the 30-minute mark. So I did want to take a bit of time to, discuss your next steps in terms of just content creation. Do you mind just talking to me about that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm very happy to, Ammar. So for the viewers out there, I mostly started off doing a lot of TikTok videos. It started off with educational content as to how to get into consulting because I come from an international student background. And funnily enough, I actually failed 7 final round interviews before I got my offer.
Wow.
So I know how tough it is. And also back in the days in the UK, they didn't offer the 2 year visa after graduation. So if you didn't get a job, you were basically kicked out of the country. So there was a lot more pressure. And
Really?
not as many companies offered visas as well. So it's very limited to the large companies as well. So after going through all those failures and having been in consulting for 5 years now, I'm trying to double down on my content on top of that to really help international students, but also like students from disadvantaged background as well. Just like gain a bit more information as to, okay, just like how you're doing, Ammar. But I guess like for me, it's like very
Thank you.
narrow focused into like, hey, how to break into consulting, within UK, but also globally as well. Here are the tips I wish I knew, etc. So a lot of educational content is going to be coming out August, September, because application deadline is in October. So just leading up to that. I'm going to be doing a lot more collaborations as well. So I've got a collaboration with Job Test Prep, who is like a provider that also does like free online tests as well, but also does tailored packages for each and different consulting firms as well, if you guys want to check it out. And on top of that as well, I'm going to try and grow my YouTube channel too. I know it's a long form content, and I don't know if you guys have seen my video that came out on August 2nd, which is why I left consulting. But hopefully, I'm going to do a bit more series in terms of my consulting journey, some funny moments, some embarrassing moments, and all the jokes around it as well. So stay tuned on for that. And then, yeah, Instagram will mostly just be more aesthetic stuff. I like to keep it a bit separate, but we'll see how that goes. And yeah, on top of that as well, I'm actually working very closely with my best friend Ali. So he's created a platform called Case Buddy, which is, I don't know if you guys have heard of Case Coach. So Case Coach is obviously
Yeah.
the big name out there. Case Buddy is
I,
almost like a competitor that is up and rising,
wow,
but I
that's
guess like a little
crazy.
bit more relevant in the sense that Case Buddy will have like a bit more, I guess, updated case studies. And also, like, I'll be joining as a mentor. So you guys will be able to book in time with me as well. I'm very approachable, guys, and I'm very recent out of consulting. So I feel like I have the knowledge just to provide you guys. So yeah, like we can leave a link below as well. Provide maybe discount code for viewers of KKC
Of
Consulting potentially
course.
as well. I can provide that too. But yeah, like, yeah, stay tuned for Case Buddy. It's not just for consulting, it'll be around for corporate jobs as well, because Ali's worked in banking, he's done software engineering as well, and then he was a consultant, and now he runs his own software business as well, which is
Wow,
very very doing amazing. Yeah, like just all roundedness. We're trying to create like a
fantastic.
career hub and a platform, and then yeah, so that's the plan for now. In terms
For
of my
sure.
social media content side hustle, let's say. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. If people wanted to search up the Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, what should they type in?
Yeah, it should just be Korean consultant. And yeah,
Korean
it should
consultant. Okay.
come up. Yeah. Hopefully I'm the first one and the other guy in New York didn't create his own persona out of it, but it should just be me.
Yeah, no. Hopefully, hopefully. But I mean, apart from that, Jack, thank you so much for hopping on the podcast. I really do appreciate your time, sharing your story, sharing your insights, and sharing your next steps as well. It was a delightful conversation.
No, I'm all right. Yeah, thank you for hosting this as well. And I'm sorry. Obviously, we only had 30 minutes today. I would have loved to talk a lot more about my journey. Any tips and stuff for students as well in more depth. But given the time was short, obviously, I had to sort of distill down things into very small sentences. But that being said, yeah, stay tuned on the KKC podcast as well. It's obviously doing
Thank
amazing.
you.
You guys have been bringing in amazing people as well. And on top of that as well, yeah, stay tuned on my socials as well. I'll be
Of
sharing a lot
course.
of tips and tricks as well on my channel.
For sure, for sure. If I ever hit up the UK, I'll make sure to do an in-person podcast with you as well.
No, of course, man. We can do a long one. Maybe not 4 hours, but we could do 2 hours.
For sure, for sure. But yeah, thank you so much, Jack, and KKC Consulting viewers. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Stay tuned for next week. I'm not sure who the guest is, but I'm sure it'll be just as amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.